Salut! Today we're going to go over the first part of lesson 23. This means that if you're using the book, you can read chapter 23 up to the verb mourir, which we will cover next week. So today we are going to go over two things. First, the possessive pronouns, meaning how to say mine, yours, etc. Then we will learn a new past tense, the imparfait. We will end the lesson with some examples using the imparfait and the passé-composé to start understanding when to use which. And of course, we will continue practicing this throughout the year. Alright, let's get started with the possessive pronouns. As you know, pronouns replace nouns. This means that the word John as a noun is the subject of the sentence John eats, and it can be turned into a subject pronoun by replacing John with he in the sentence he eats. Also, it means that John, as the object of the sentence Mary calls John, can be turned into the object pronouns him in the sentence Mary calls him. So what are possessive pronouns? Well, a possessive pronoun will replace a noun, but it will also replace a possessive adjective as a lump word. This means that if I say, it is my book, book is the object of my sentence and my is the possessive adjective. The object pronoun for book would be it. But we cannot say it is my it. What we need to use is a possessive pronoun and we would say it is mine. So the possessive pronouns in English are mine, yours, is, hers, ours, yours, and yours plural of course, and theirs. The first point I need to make is that for our possessive pronouns in French, we use a definite article first. Definite articles in French are le, la, and les. This means that if we were to translate the word mine in French word for word, we would say the mine. Now, because possessive pronouns replace a noun and they have a definite article, you will need to use a different one for every person, depending on if the noun is masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural, or feminine plural. The first part being a definite article, we can already write le for all the masculine singular, la for all the feminine singular, and les for all the plural. Now, we need to learn the words for each gender and number for every person. I'm going to fill up the table with all the words and we will go over the pronunciation of all of them. Here it is. Repeat after me. For masculine singular nouns such as un livre, a book, the possessive pronouns are le mien, le tien, le sien, le nôtre, le vôtre, le leur. For feminine singular nouns such as une voiture, a car, the possessive pronouns are la mienne, la tienne, la sienne, la nôtre, la vôtre, la leur. Now for masculine plural nouns such as des livres, books, the possessive pronouns are les miens, les tiens, les siens, les nôtres, les vôtres, les leurs. And for feminine plural nouns such as des voitures, cars, the possessive pronouns are les miennes, les tiennes, les siennes, les nôtres, les vôtres, les leurs. Okay, now if we want to make this slightly easier, you can see that first all the plural, even though they have an ending s, are pronounced exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the definite article in front of them. Okay, now you can separate the pronunciation of the masculine and feminine into two pronunciations for the first three persons. And you should have heard that the plural was actually pronounced the same all over with a different definite article. This means that you only need to learn the pronunciation of the plural once, notre, votre, leur, and then the masculine and feminine of the first three. Mien, feminine, mienne, tien, feminine, tienne, sien, feminine, sienne. After that, it's all about mixing and matching them with either le, la, or les. Okay, I hope this made some kind of sense, but let me show you 3 examples to make sure. This car, it's mine. Cette voiture, c'est la mienne. These fries, they're ours. Ces frites, ce sont les nôtres. This book, it's hers. Ce livre, c'est le sien. If you're confused about that last example, aka why hers becomes the masculine le sien, please go back to lesson 5, where I explained how possessive adjectives agree in gender and number with what is possessed, aka the book here, and not who possesses it in English, aka her. Alright, let's learn a new tense now. As I said before, there are 3 major past tense in French. The passé simple, which we won't learn because it's only used for narration in books. The passé-composé that we saw last week for completed actions in the past. And the imparfait, which we are seeing today. I'm going to first show you how to build the imparfait tense, and then I'll explain when to use it with examples. Alright, the imparfait is actually a very easy tense to put together. All you need to know is your conjugation in the present tense. Then take the second person of the plural, nous, and remove the ending of the present, ons. Then add the regular endings of the imparfait, which are ais, ait, ait, ions, iez, aient. Let's take a concrete example to show you. If we used the verb parler, okay, how do you conjugate the verb parler in the present using nous? It would be nous parlons. Okay, let's take that and remove the ending ons. We now have PARL. Okay, let's add the ending I just mentioned before. Now the verb parler is conjugated in the imparfait, and repeat after me. Je parlais, tu parlais, il parlait, nous parlions, vous parliez, il parlait. Alright, that's pretty straightforward. There are 2 little points on verbs ending in CER and GER in the notes. I'll let you discover that by downloading them below. But one point I need to mention is that many irregular verbs in the present are actually regular in the imparfait. That means that you won't have to learn a long list of irregular here. One you need to learn is the verb être in the imparfait. But it's actually the regular endings. It's just that the root is et instead of using the present with nous. So the verb être in the imparfait is conjugated as follows. Repeat after me. J'étais, tu étais, il était, nous étions, vous étiez, ils étaient. Alright, now that we know how to build the imperfect tense, let's talk about when to use it. First, technically, sometimes there's no right or wrong use of the imparfait versus the passé-composé. They just mean 2 different things. This is why you can see the same sentence using one or the other. Basically, if it uses the passé-composé, it's an action and it's completed. If it's using the imparfait, it could mean mostly 3 things. First, the action is something that was done regularly. In English, you'd use the formulation used to, as in, I used to smoke when I was 20. Second, it could be something that was happening while an action interrupted it. In English, you mostly use the formulation was or were and the ing form of a verb, like in the sentence, I was walking. Then you could also be talking about different things that were happening at the same time, or things that describe the background of a story in the past, or things that were the state of things in the past. I know this may sound a bit conceptual, but it's not that complicated when you think about it. Most of the time, an actual end is implied, whether it is an action or a time period. For example, if you saw, I was walking and I was speaking. By itself, in English, it would sound weird too. You would either need to add when I fell, a concrete action that interrupted the background of this action, or you would be answering a question like, what were you doing yesterday around 5 p.m.? Which is a period of time that ended. Okay, if you want the easy way to think about this, for now, you will most likely be right to use the imparfait if the English uses was or were with ing, or if the English says used to. Also, if you're talking about your age or a part of your life, unless you're talking about turning 20, you will most of the time use the imparfait to say I was 20. And finally, there's also another use, which is when someone randomly suggests an activity. For example, what if we went to a restaurant? Which would be in French, si with an imparfait. Si on allait au restaurant. But that last one is very specific, so don't focus too much on it. Just learn a few examples. Okay, talking about example. Here are a few examples using the imparfait with their English translation so you can understand better what I just said. I used to smoke when I was 20. Je fumais quand j'avais 20 ans. Here we use the imparfait for both. Why? Well, you were 20 for a whole year. This was not an action that finished. The only way you would use a passé-composé, as I said before, would be if you try to say I used to smoke when I turned 20 and stopped, meaning that turning 20 was the action that made you stop. Alright, another example. I was walking when I fell. Je marchais quand je suis tombé. Here the fall obviously interrupted the walking. Therefore the walking was the background and used the imparfait, where the falling was a direct action that ended, and it used the passé-composé. Alright, that's it for today. There are more examples in the notes, so don't forget to go over them, and also read the first part of chapter 23 in the book. And if you have any questions, please post them in the comments. And also tell me what you used to do when you were 10, 20 or 30. Just remember to use the imparfait, and that in French, we have years rather than being or age. We use the verb avoir. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the channel and liking this video. Alright, in the meantime, I hope you have a great day and I'll see you next week. Au revoir.